as a byproduct of Arcana, we realized that we need to educate people because people ask us the same question. Are you going to ruin the industry? Is it going to eliminate people? Are AI going to replace people? And the clear answer and the immediate answer is no, AI is not going to replace people. People that are going to use AI will replace people that refuse to use AI.
Yeah.
So a part of that is education. You know what? You mentioned Echo Hunter. In the premiere of Echo Hunter here in LA, obviously we got a huge network of creators and studios executive, and we invited like a few hundreds. And you will be surprised that happened like 5 months ago, but like 35, 40% of the people the people that from the industry, traditional industry said, sorry guys, we love you. We cannot support that. That's going to take our jobs. Then we really realized that people need to be educated. That's not going to replace you. That's another tool.
Step into the world of success with your brand amplified, the ultimate podcast designed to unravel the intricacies of thriving businesses. I'm your host, Annika Jackson, and I'm on a mission to uncover the stories, strategies, and secrets that have propelled entrepreneurs and business leaders to success. It was a real honor at AI4 conference to hear Guy Ronen speak about what his company is doing, and then be able to go from the keynote, reach out, and have somebody who's so open to a conversation and talking about Arcana Labs, AI, and everything that you're doing now. So, Guy, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thanks for having me, Nika. Great to be here.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear, of course, a little bit about your background, because you've done so much in business and in tech globally, launching startups, mostly at the C-suite level. How did you get into your areas of expertise? And then, that fast forwards us eventually to what you're doing now in Los Angeles after launching other companies, but now really diving into the world of AI.
Yeah, sure. So in a nutshell, because it's a lot to cover, it's like over 20 years, but definitely in a nutshell, I started as a corporate, most of the people. I was in charge of a smart city. So I work with like building a concept of smart cities and connecting between the tech side and the strategy side. So that always was my kind of a sweet spot. Then I moved quite fast into that and scale up with different organization. I moved to the private equity and family office domain as well. I worked mainly in Europe, in London, Greece, and Geneva. I manage a lot of investment for family office and private equity. I invest in their behalf. I've been an operating partner. I've been a CEO and COO of a part of their companies, managed to lead them to a few exits, interesting exits, and one M&A. Moved to California almost 9 years ago, as well, diverse, like put everything of my kind of a set of skills into the VC world and the private equity world here. I'm going to work a lot with startup, consult to different companies, complete my executive MBA. I did a major in finance. So always been passionate about creating things, building concept, and mainly scale and scale fast. That being said, it's always kind of led me into the SaaS opportunity more than the hardware and things like that. Always been on the brink of cyber, AI, and those type of kind of companies and help them scale up. When I met our kind of labs team, and that's kind of getting into this year, I met an amazing company with a kind of a brilliant concept. And I thought I can bring a lot of value in the business side of things. The domain was amazing. The team was so like an amazing. And I know we can talk about it down the road, but I think comparing to other company that's, built out of the techie guys, this is a perfect blend of filmmakers and storytellers that combine their skills with tech. And I want to bring something else to the industry. And that goes into what we're doing in Arcana.
Yeah. And that was a very quick summary. So thank you.
Over 25 years, yeah.
Yeah. And what led you to that in the first place? Finance, VC, entrepreneurship, helping people scale. Was that always what you were interested in, passionate about?
In a nutshell, yes. It's always about like solving issues and problems. Okay, we got a problem, let's tackle that. Okay, there's an issue, why can't we do something different? It's always on the disruptive side of things. I used to get a lot of, okay, that's the way we're doing that. Okay, I got that. That's the way we're doing that. But do we have to stick to that? And always people said like a kind of a common answer of, that's how we used to do that. So what? We can do it differently. And I think that's an essence of being an entrepreneur. That's an essence of a startup and an early stage venture about think outside of the box, being creative, invent yourself on a daily basis. And I think for me, that's a passion. Like sitting in an office, cubicle, call it whatever, punch a card and doing just one thing without seeing the big picture, for me, you're just missing a lot. You're just missing a lot. And so for me, that was a passion from the get-go.
Wow. Yeah. And coming to LA, what was it that, or even just the United States, right? What was it that compelled you to say that's the next place I'm going to conquer?
Definitely taking a note on the business world. There's no place like the US. If you want to scale something, that's the place. No, you know what? Second thought, it could be also in India and China. But you need a places with mass. You need a places that the market is huge. You need a place that if you manage to acquire 0.5% or 1.5% of the market, you're still huge. Different places across the Middle East, across Europe, no matter what you're going to do, you're going to struggle. And if you get the same amount of competitors out there, it's very hard to take a chunk of the market. Getting into the US and getting to these huge, economy markets, I think the opportunities are limitless. Having competitors, it's great. I had a mentor like 20 years ago that told me, I never want to be the first to market. I always want to be second or third. Let someone else, do all these mistakes and we can learn out of them and be second, third, fourth to market. You're still going to have a huge opportunity. And so that's definitely what led us to the US. Regardless, my wife, she's in the entertainment business and she's an executive producer. So that's the answer about why LA. So that's why LA. Besides that, obviously, we're paying a lot of money to live in California, but hey, you can't argue with this perfect weather and atmosphere. So,
This is true.
I love LA.
Yeah. Fantastic. And you saw this opportunity with Arcana and you still have, other companies, right? You still are partner in Periodic Ventures.
Yeah, I'm still consulting to companies in periodic, but mainly like 99% of my time are in Arcana. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you meet the Arcana team? Because I remember when on our very first call, you said, "Oh, if you want to talk to one of the creative people, that's not necessarily me in terms of, the directors, the filmmakers, that side of things. But obviously you're here because you love what they're doing. And you also see how you can drive it using your talents, your unique skills."
Yeah, so let's address it by stages. So I met the Arcana team through a mutual friend that was also their GC at the time. And he mentioned something that was quite on spot. He said, like, Guy, I want you to meet a team of founders that got an amazing company and opportunity, but I think they could use a boost up in the business side. Me, as a business person for like over 2 decades, I was all into numbers, operations, how to scale up, how to do the things traditionally with startup. Goes back to what I mentioned about Arcana. This is the perfect, I think, blend and combination of team, and we can discuss that later. But I think the core, the engine of each one of the companies that I'm familiar with, and I think around the globe, is always the team. Listen, technology can come and go. People can duplicate you. Patents, that means a lot in today's world. You can duplicate anything with enough money and enough time. It's always about the team. Okay, the team is the essence of everything. That's the core. This is the engine, the fuel, everything that lead the company to a successful execution. When I met the team, that goes back again to what I mentioned about Arcana, it's not a traditional team. There's a filmmakers like, our both co-founders, Jonathan and Hank, are got like over 2.5 billion in the box offices, over 50 films, 6 franchises, like, huge, huge films like Rambo, Expendables, Hellboy, name it. And I think bringing that essence in the entertainment world, combining that with the business side and a tech, I think that what makes Arcana so unique and interesting. I'm saying that today when we're partnering with a lot of, big companies that dealing with like Gen AI models, that at the end of the day, endless resources, money, engineers, whatever, and they knock on their door and said, guys, can we partner? Because we know how to generate technology and create new models, but not sure we understand the market as good as you guys understand. We're not sure we get access to filmmakers and storytellers as good as you guys. So that's something that we're still feeling. And I think that's the essence and the secret sauce behind Arcana.
Nice. And you bring up a really good point because you were on stage AI4 talking about Echo Hunter, a project that you put together. You were there with one of the actors, Breckin Meyer.
Break-in, yeah.
Yeah. And what I really loved is this is an issue, of course, for both in LA. So we know that part of the strikes after the pandemic were because of this new generative AI tool that everybody's trying to figure out, is this going to take all of our jobs? And what you've done is at Arcana is be really masterful about saying, yes, we can use these technologies to create amazing projects, but we still have humanity. We still have people who are working on this project. It's not all replaced because, of course, there are other people who say, oh, I just put a prompt in and it'll create the whole thing for me. So you're not taking that approach. And I thought that was so nuanced. And that's really the sweet spot of what people in the industry want to see, right? But also making sure that we're using what's available. You know, as a business owner myself, I can tell you that finding the right people to hire is absolutely brutal. You post a job, get flooded with hundreds of resumes, but somehow still can't find anyone with the actual skills you need. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you fast. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/work. Here's what makes ZipRecruiter different. Their smart technology actually identifies the top talent for your specific roles super quickly. The moment you post your job, their matching system starts showing you qualified candidates immediately. Plus, you can reach out to your favorite candidates right away using their pre-written invite to apply messages. No more waiting around, hoping someone will notice your post. Ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/work. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/work. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Yeah, there's two aspects to that. First, and I can discuss about Echo Hunter and what we try to prove there. That it was a proof of concept, I think, almost 4.5, maybe 5 months ago. Again, it took us 4.5 weeks. I think today we can do it probably less than a week. But the interesting thing that we did was to ease our way into the industry. I can talk about AI in a second, about Gen AI and filmmaking, but I think we wanted to prove that we're not bypassing anyone. We want to prove that we're actually improving the current situation. Let's be honest, 97% of the industry right now is unemployed in Hollywood. It is what it is, okay? How can you ruin an industry that is already broken, right? So what we wanted to prove is that we can actually improve the situation. We took SAG actors and we paid them full contracts. Again, for a couple of hours, that's what we needed to, but that's what we did. We tried to make this, not tried actually, we succeed to make it ethically sourced. That's the slogan behind Arcana. This is an ethically sourced AI, okay? Artist-driven AI, and not AI-driven art. We still need the storytellers. We still, what? Not just storytellers, I think. The above the line roles are still needed. Someone need to tell the story. Someone need to direct. Someone need to be creative enough to build a story and a concept behind the story, okay? And at the end of the day, we still need those actors, even if it's an AI. No one will pay or buy a ticket to see me on the screen, but they will definitely, buy a ticket to see, the people that they adore. And we
Right.
still need that. The only thing that we're doing in Arcana and in Gen AI generally is lowering the barrier, making things more affordable. We're actually giving the opportunity we democratize the opportunity. No one said that filmmakers need to sit in LA or in Hollywood. Okay. They can sit in India. They can sit in China. They can sit in Africa. I think it was Bill Clinton that said, talent was spread equally, but opportunity not. Okay. So that's our business. That's what we're trying to do. And you know what? We're seeing young artists that we give them the opportunity to actually create something, doing remarkable things. We just had an artist called Diane that released a short movie on LinkedIn that we're supporting, and so many other artists that we're working with are showing such an amazing results. And that's exactly the business we're trying to bring.
Yeah, and that's the biggest fear, even of my students at USC in digital media, is that they hear the AI replacement, And what you're saying is, no, it's not about, it's still the human creativity that's coming and using AI very effectively to help create, but it's not just AI creation.
It's enhancing creators. It's not replacing them. Trust me, try to ask ChatGPT to write a screenplay that will make you cry or laugh. It's not going to work. You still need creativity. Now, that being said, maybe down the road, like in 5 years, something will be more streamlined and easy. But right now, we definitely need the talents. We're just lowering the barrier and make it more affordable to everyone. And you know what? Even the big productions in Hollywood, the F1, the Mission Impossible, and things like that, huge amounts. Still, AI could be the difference between making a project profitable
Mm,
and between losing money.
yeah. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
anyone can use it, and we will never dictate that you have to use 100% AI. Hey, 80-20, 50-50, 70-30, do whatever. Just make it work for you. This is another equipment in your backpack. This is another lens or a camera that you can use and make your project looks amazing, relatively cheap, and fast.
Some of the other projects that you've worked on, we'd love to hear about those because I know you've also done commercials for large companies. And then you just talked about working with some smaller creators as well.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, Arcana is open to everyone. We got the direct to consumer side that we can democratize that and give that to everyone. Consumers that's our backbone. We're learning from them. They're learning from our creativity. We're adding more tools and capabilities, almost on a weekly basis. So basically in a nutshell, what Arcana is solving the diligence and the hustle of jumping between models. We create an ecosystem that got over 25 different models inside. And there's a workflow that automated. And basically what you need to do is stay in the one place, saving time, saving money, and create whatever you want to. Basically, besides the post, everything is concentrated in Arcana. Really soon, I'm talking about weeks, we're going to add a full suite of tools of audio and dubbing and different languages so you can think about the capabilities out there. But what we're trying to bring there is like a set of tools that would give our creators the ability to do whatever they want to. If it's just like a still image, if it's a video, if it's a commercial, we got architects that using Arcana to design. We got CPG companies that trying to create not just commercial, but their own next products and test them. Okay, today you can do whatever you want to with AI. So it's literally unlimited. You mentioned production side. So Arcana, by definition, we got into production capabilities, not because we aim to do that, just because we had to. Arcana in a nutshell got like three avenues. One is obviously the platform, the SaaS that is embedding every tool that you can think of in one place. The other one is the production arm, just because we met clients that said it's amazing, but can you help us produce? Can you help us? Can you produce for us? And obviously the answer is yes, we can help you. And the third one is actually the academy. As a byproduct of Arcana, we realized that we need to educate people because people ask us the same question. Are you going to ruin the industry? Is it going to eliminate people? Are AI going to replace people? And the clear answer and the immediate answer is no, AI is not going to replace people. People that are going to use AI will replace people that refuse to use AI. Yeah. So a part of that is education. You know what? You mentioned Echo Hunter. In the premiere of Echo Hunter here in LA, obviously we got a huge network of creators and studios executive, and we invited like a few hundreds. And you will be surprised that happened like 5 months ago, but like 35-40% of the people the people that from the industry, traditional industry said, sorry, guys, we love you. We cannot support that. That's going to take our jobs. Then we really realized that people need to be educated. That's not going to replace you. That's another tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest problems. I think you're seeing it in Hollywood. I'm seeing it in education as well. This is maybe the biggest existential crisis going on right now in industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But people say the same about the internet. People say the same about cloud computing. You know what? People say the same about heavy machinery at the beginning. That's going to replace people. Guys, you have to move with the trend. That's not going to replace people. The opportunity that it gives to people, it's literally so much more significant than maybe the few percentage of roles. And I'm not even talking about Gen AI that will maybe the next 5 years will disappear. But I will give another opportunity for those that are going to lose their job to do something else. We get so many creators from Hollywood that using Arcana right now. There were like these production designers, super talented, that no one will ever give them the opportunity to produce or direct. Now they can be a directors and producers. So is it taking work or actually creating more work for people?
Yeah. How did the founders decide to create this entire ecosystem? Because you talked about the different pillars that you have, right? That you have the production out of necessity, you have the entire suite of tools that people can use, even consumers. Any of us could go on right now and subscribe at a lower level, perhaps, right? And then you have the education side now because you realized, oh yeah, we can't have one without the other, because then people, just like many of the tools that are out there, they're not necessarily something that we feel. It's not like riding a bike, right? You can use one AI tool, but that doesn't mean it's going to translate to the next one.
Right, right. So I think let's start from the beginning. It was our two co-founders, Hank and Jonathan, in one of their production, literally almost 4 years ago. Hank showed Jonathan on his computer a Discord of the first AI image. It was a blurry dragon. Like I still got the image. It's like it's crazy to see what happened in the last couple of years. And said, this is amazing. And immediately Jonathan, as an executive producer, was the president of Millennium Media, said, we have to use that on our productions. How can we utilize that for our needs? And it's funny because at the beginning they said, let's create something that we can use that in production. We got a studio. Then immediately when they started to realize that, okay, that could serve us in so many use cases. And now immediately so many companies starting to create different models. And now it's still the problem today. And that's one of the things that Arcana is solving is that you can sit with like 15 different open tabs. Each one is different engine. And this one is doing action scene great. This one is orbiting the characters amazing. This one is creating a skin tone that is perfect. Now, how can you do a production when you need to use like 15 different tools? When you try to train a custom model on one of them, you need to do it again 15 times. So said, okay, that's a problem. Let's solve that. Let's use the existing one. We don't want to compete with the big companies. We don't want to compete with Google, with Kling, okay, with ByteDance. Why not using them into one workflow? So at the beginning, it started like that, and then let's implement that into a workflow that will make sense. And you know what? None of those engines, and it's funny, but it's irrelevant for today, is aiming for filmmakers and storytellers. In a nutshell, Arcana is the only company that actually filmmakers creating a workflow for filmmakers. Storytellers build a platform for storytellers and not just the tech. That goes back to why the team is so amazing. But it started like that. So let's do it for ourselves. And then they realized there's a huge need. Okay. And then they realized that the market is moving so fast and the clients are still struggling to understand how to do the diligence. Which one of the engine is good for me? Because today is Kling, tomorrow morning Nano Banana is out. The next day is, first frame, last frame. Field is doing amazing things. ByteDance are here. How can we navigate that? And that's and again, being an entrepreneur, that's a huge problem. Let's solve it. And they solve it perfectly. And that's exactly the base of Arcana.
But you are incorporating other tools into your sandbox, if you will. Mm-hmm. Do you, I guess, get really specific about how you decide what you're going to include in the tech stack that you want to have?
Yeah, one of the main things that we're doing are saving our clients, obviously corporates and consumers, the diligence stage, the validation stage, and how to manipulate that. Because AI is still not 100% controllable. It's a different topic that we can discuss, but we still can't control AI 100% like we control an actor on set, right? We still, if we want someone drinking out of a can, and we want him to do like that with the can before, it's still not perfectly controllable. We're 80% there. We're going to solve that in the next 6 to 10 months, but we're not there. So that's the first thing we want to ease for our clients. So we're doing the diligence. We're adding more tool tips into the platform that you can actually manipulate and create more things with the same platform. At some extent, just choosing Kling 2.1. If using Kling 2.1 outside of Arcana and Kling 2.1 inside of Arcana, you're going to get a significantly better results inside of Arcana due to the fact that you can control, due to the fact that we added a few manipulation tools that you can control the models better. So that was the concept. We're moving very fast. Our development team is on spot with everything. So we're literally getting every a week to 10 days a new version online with the new tools. Keep in mind, it's not just the tools, the capabilities, and how to adjust them to a workflow. It's also, hey, are we trusting this tool? Where do they host their data? How do they train their data? How we want, just throwing names. HBO right now, putting the data with an AI, with a customer or a host that we not trust. So those are the things, mainly when aiming to filmmakers and storytellers, those are the things that we really put a lot of effort into. We want to make sure our system is fully secure, safeguards all over the place, definitely on D2C. You'll be surprised what we encounter the first couple of weeks when we release that to the D2C. So there's a lot of paths to abuse AI. We're trying to make sure we're protecting our clients, protecting our enterprises, and make sure the tools that they're getting are, top notch.
Yeah. I really appreciate that you talked about that issue, because consumers are already worried about their data, right? And then layer AI on top of that in terms of all of the things that you just mentioned. Is our information secure? Who's getting our information? Where is it leaking? If we put things into an LLM or into another AI tool, is it going to be used to train their model? Is it going to get out then other people can use it, even if it's something we think of as proprietary? So you're solving all of these issues for people before they start engaging with the process. So that's a huge competitive advantage.
And also keep in mind, we're not training any of our models or improving our models on customer or clients' data. That being said, just to be open, Veo of Google is based on YouTube, of course. ByteDance is based on TikTok. Those are the engines that people and companies are training their models on. We're not trying. We're consistently making sure that we're not training anything out of our clients' data. We're not accessing our clients' data. We're not holding, kind of a libraries of their data at all. This is their own possession. This is their own IP, for instance. Moving forward into audio and sound, again, composing with AI, you own the rights. Okay. Think about it. And I'm not saying don't use like famous, IP. That's totally okay. I love music, traditional music, and I want to pay for creators and composers to blend their music. But at some extent, if you cannot afford that, it doesn't mean you shouldn't have, a music in your creation. So those are the things that we always constantly, it's not even a conflict, but we're dealing with. On one hand, IP and rights. On the other hand, the flexibility for creators to create, just create. I want to create something. If I want to take a canvas and draw something, I should be able to do that.
Yeah.
So why not with AI?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just absorbing all of this because we've had a conversation. I've looked at Arcana. I've obviously watched Echo Hunter on YouTube and been following the company, but I haven't done a deep dive into using the tools myself yet. And so I'm really excited about the implications for, like you said, you're democratizing the process. So no matter what level you are, you have access, you have information, you have training. And just even thinking about as a podcaster, being able to have my podcast out in multiple languages so that people can get all the information and absorb it and not just try to translate it, because that is not the easiest process always, right? You have to take in the language that's not your native language, and your brain has to process, translate it into your language, and every word might not be in the right order. So just that has huge implications for bringing people together on a global scale.
We try to democratize that. Okay, anyone could create to everyone. Okay, the fact that you're right now speaking Chinese doesn't mean that you cannot do a blockbuster here in the US. Okay. And without lip dubbing, literally make it genuine. We're seeing, on the commercial side, we're seeing a lot of brands that want to adapt their commercials into the right culture. We're seeing them swapping faces according to race, culture, skin tone, everything that they want to, and then using the same commercial into 3 different continents. Okay. With 3 different type of culture and everything. I'm not even talking just about language. People like to see in a commercial someone that resemble themselves,
Right.
look like themselves, right?
Yep, exactly.
If he's taking Advil, I want him to see that he's similar to me. Okay. And then I will feel that, okay, I resonate with this brand. So, brand recognition and feeling comfortable with brands is something that AI is definitely solving, or actually making it easier and cheaper and faster to solve.
Yeah. And that's, again, something we talk a lot about with students and in the industry. I've worked for several marketing agencies, but making sure that content could even change dynamically. so that people do see themselves. Because we know that if you don't see if you can't put yourself into the scenario for a product or service, you may purchase it still, but you might also be turned off by that product because you don't see people like you using it.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many real-time adaptation in life, not just in commercial. I think it was Netflix a couple of years ago that tried to create like shows and still trying to create shows that you can actually vote what you want to see.
Or yeah.
Okay, are you going that way or that way? Is it going to go with them or like leave her? And then you can choose with your remote, and then you will see a different end. Why not doing that? Why not giving the flexibility? I can, if we want to kind of envision how it's going to look like in 5 years, but why not creating a, specific content according to what I like to see, to watch, right? Okay. So I like a rom-com based in LA, happening with A, B, and C right now and make it super funny. So click those 4 or 5 criterias and why not creating the content instantly? So we're still envisioning that, right? Still not there. But yeah, this personal touch is super important for everyone. And in any domain, by the way.
It's probably hard to envision now, but because the company's been around for a couple of years, you've been in it for 8 months, 9 months. Where do you see the company going? Is this just because I feel like the sky's the limit?
I think the big question is where do you see AI going? I think AI is starting to be very powerful. Very soon, the big companies could not compete with each other because it's going to be more affordable, cheaper, and make life easier. Now, there's not going to be a competition. It's exactly like, everyone is, even in LLM right now, you can get 80% of the basic research that you want on language models for free. That will be the same with Gen AI, right? So I think for Arcana, I think the use case is definitely ease the process into Gen AI, making workflow easier. It was still going to be different engine. It's still going to be differences between the capabilities, but at the near future, I think it's is the way into Gen AI, making workflow easier and more, you know, easier to onboard. You ask about if anyone, we democratize if anyone can jump on Arcana. So my daughter, she's like not even 9 years old. She created it took her like 5 to 7 minutes to onboard Arcana, and she's creating amazing things. She's not a director. She's not like, but she's doing amazing things. So I think there's almost no, limitation or barriers of entry to someone who want to start learning that. That being said, I think when Arcana is improving the use cases, we can open a suite of tool to any creator. You want to be a marketer. You want to be a podcaster. Okay. You want to be a podcaster and you don't want to just put yourself in the front. So many opportunities for people to create basically anything they can think of. And is at the end of the day is visual. We can make it. And with a suite of tools of sounds and languages, think about it. You can create your own influencers. You can create your own podcast. So in the future, I think a lot of roles will change. We don't need to see the faces that we're familiar with so we can follow them. Okay. And one more, one step ahead, the one that we adore, Kim Kardashian, Joe Rogan, all of those will be in our, in our headset right now. We can talk with them whenever we want to. You're not, really talk with them. But if I'm putting the database, the public database of Joe Rogan in an app, why not having it accessible to everyone on the phone? I want to chat with Joe Rogan. Easy as that.
Yeah. And the fact that it can be within this other ecosystem of other things we're going to be doing. Because I just think about, I subscribe to Synthesia, to HeyGen. I have a Delphi digital twin, but that I could actually put all of that into one place and create all of the things that are in my head that I want to create with these different tools. But then, yeah, okay, well, for teaching, maybe that one. For this kind of presentation, I need to go into this one. This one I just used if people want to have a call with me, but they can't get time or they want to learn what I know before they schedule time to meet. Mm-hmm. But to think that all of that can just go into one ecosystem that's going to cost less, that's going to be more efficient. Why wouldn't somebody, right, want to use that?
And it's also the trend right now. I don't know if you remember, but decades ago, App Store went out live, and then immediately there was an app for everything. Every use case that you can think of, there's an app. At one point, I was like 12 years ago, there was an app that said, yo, I don't know if you remember that. Yo, app that said yo. You want to say to your friend, yo, there's an app that said yo. Think about that. So that was the trend there in today's world. And that's in the last couple of years. It's already like quite moving forward. People want a unified approach. Give me one app that gives me all. Can I do FaceTime, conference call, send documents, store in my cloud, and put my avatar at the same app? And that's exactly what we're solving in Arcana. That's exactly what you just mentioned. I want to manage my podcast, my audience base, you know what? Knowledge base. I want my audience to see everything that I want to. I want them to take classes with me in one place. And that's exactly the holistic approach that a lot of companies are doing, but we definitely put that on our flag in Arcana. And that's what we're trying to bring. We're unifying everything. We're not competing with the companies. We're bringing them inside Arcana as an ecosystem to solve the big issue of the so many different paths and engines and websites and platforms. So yes, that's definitely moving there.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. I could keep giving more examples of tools that I get frustrated with, but I will save that for our other conversations. Is there one last thing that you would like to impart on the audience today?
I think the one thing that I'm definitely, keep repeating and just like if you can imagine that, go create it. There's no barriers today. We're seeing those young creators out there all over the world, all over the place, actually, doing an amazing job and getting into the places that we could never imagine. So tackle that. Go online, go on arcanalabs.ai, go on different, platform if you want to. Just try that. Tackle your fears, create. It's so easy and it's so rewarding. And this is just like a story that I'm keep hearing from every creator that we are onboarding. I couldn't believe I could do that. And now there's like a piece of art that I created. Totally my DNA. And I think that's amazing.
100%. And Guy, I always end by asking everybody, what is your favorite, or do you have a favorite quote, mantra, family motto, poem, verse?
Well, I already mentioned that, but I think, and don't quote me because I'm probably wrong at the perfect way to say that, but I think it was what I mentioned about Bill Clinton, that I think it's amazing to see that like we're all so talented and the talent was like spread so evenly across the globe. We just don't have the equal opportunity. It's just not there. If you're not living in LA or in New York City or in London, you're not going to have that. And I think that should change immediately. And that's what we're trying to do in Arcana. And I think a lot of companies are doing that. I think that's, for me, that's the best motto, in life.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I think that this conversation is going to intrigue a lot of people who maybe are not in this ecosystem, right? Not in LA, not in New York, not in London, or perhaps they are, but who want to try a different way of doing things. So thank you for introducing us to Arcana Labs and sharing a little bit about your journey as well. What makes you really excited about this product and the vision of the future?
Thank you so much for having me, Annika. And again, more than happy to support and collaborate and meet anyone that needs anything from our end.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you to everybody who's watching this episode or listening to it. We will absolutely have Arcana Labs in the show notes. I have it up on my other screen, and I'm definitely going to be using this with my students. So we'll be talking about that as well. But I hope that you have found some inspiration from this episode to something that will also help bring some fun and levity into your work as you try out these new tools. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of Your Brand Amplified. Don't forget to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast listening platform. And if you want to learn more, check us out at yourbrandamplified.com.